to Encourage podcast. I am your host, Pastor Lekia Peters, and as always, I'm excited to be with you today. Now, today's disclaimer is, today is going to be more of what I like to call a share my heart moment. Share my heart moment means it's just something that continues to come up, and I just have an opinion about it, and I just want to share my heart. And so that's what today's message is going to be. And specifically, y'all, today in this share my heart moment, we're going to be talking about RSVP. Okay, now, first of all, I don't know about you, but I really didn't know what RSVP stands for. You say it RSVP, right? So you think that each letter means something, but we know, and hopefully everybody knows, but we're going to learn it today if you don't know. But RSVP, right? So RSVP, what is that? What does it stand for? So I'm like, okay, let me see. Let me look it up. Google is my friend. So I look it up and I find out that RSVP itself is a French phrase. It's derived from French, but it means respond if you please. So if y'all know me right away, I'm like, okay, but RSVP, respond if you please. That doesn't equate to RSVP, but it's a French phrase. RSVP simply stands for respond if you please. So let me give you some background. Why am I sharing my heart about RSVP? Well, I'm not the ultimate party planner. I don't even consider myself a party planner, right? But I am in positions where I plan things. And I plan things at work. I plan things for church events. I plan things in my own life, right? And so as a person who plans, I often require an RSVP, now known as respond if you please. And so lately I've been doing some events, and I've this latest one had an RSVP. Really, all of the events that I do typically have RSVP. But this last event was a specific RSVP because there were supplies that I needed to get. There was things I wanted to, and we're going to get into it, but I wanted to make sure that I had enough. This was something I was doing that it was specific to each person. So each person who attended needed to have the supplies that they need. So the purpose in me asking for the RSVP or the respond if you please was so that I can make sure. Because as a planner of anything, just me sharing my heart, I never want to not have enough. And I typically default to having more, but at the same time, it comes to a point where, again, it's waste. A lot of waste happens. But if people would RSVP, then that reduces the amount of waste. Right. And then again, I'm getting ahead of myself. But again, just the backdrop of that. At work, I have events where we require RSVP because, again, we want to know how many people to expect. Right. And so, again, you try to plan for more, but I'm trying to eliminate waste. And really, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day for me and where I am right now in this share my heart moment. When it's all said and done, what's the big deal for Pastor Lekia Peters? And it is reducing waste. So RSVPs help to reduce waste and then to make sure we have enough. But so let's look at it. So RSVP, respond. So respond just simply means to say something in reply. So if you're being asked to RSVP, you receive an invitation, an announcement goes out and it says, hey, you're invited. Hey, I'm doing this. I need you to RSVP. The basic term, the basic thing in respond is say something in reply. Now, saying something in reply could be yes or no. Yes, I'm going. No, I'm not going. Right. But then there's all different types of RSVPs, different invitations, different announcements. So again, when we're talking about RSVP, listen to or make sure you read the full invitation or make sure you're listening to the full announcement so you can know how to say something in reply, whether, and we'll get into it. So it means act or behave in reaction to someone or something. We're still talking about respond, but RSVP. It means to react quickly or positively. Make a response. Answer. Acknowledge. Be in touch with. Get back to. Confirm attendance. So all of these things that I just shared are all definitions and meanings of respond, because the key to the RSVP is just simply responding. You could leave the if you please out. That's just they're being polite, I guess. But really, the whole purpose in RSVP is to respond. We need a response. And so here's the thing, y'all. It lets the organizer know if you plan to attend. Yes or no. I plan to attend your party. I plan to come to this event. I want to be included in what you're planning and what you're doing. I want to be a part of it. So I'm going to respond and I'm going to say yes. Or again, and sometimes it doesn't say, you don't need to tell me if you're not coming. Just tell me if you are coming. But if you, in the sense of responding, right, you can respond and say no. So no, I am not going to be able to make it to your event. No, I really want to go, but I can't go. It's still a response, right? You're still responding. But sometimes people don't ask for you to tell me if you're not coming. We just want to know if you are. The purpose in responding in RSVPs, y'all, is it communicates your intentions. Intentions are just that. My intention is to come. And things happen. But my intention is to come, or my intention is not to come. And so I know I was searching when I was, just thinking about this, and I'm like, it wouldn't go away. The other way that I know I need to share my heart moment is because it won't go away. It keeps coming up. I keep having these thoughts. And so I'm like, okay, I got to get it out. So I'm like, God, okay, is there any scripture? Super Saint. I like to connect what I do to scripture, right? That doesn't mean that everything you say or all your opinions have to be related to scripture, but I like to try to find scripture. And so it took me some days. I'm like, okay, God, where can I connect this, right? Without getting fancy, just keeping it simple. Is there any scripture that comes to mind or anything that you can give me that I can connect this? And so I waited and I searched and I looked, and then God gave it to me, y'all. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for my relationship with God, because he helps me, because he knows that I like to have something to reference, right? So I found this scripture, and I feel like this, for me, can't speak for anybody else, but for me, this is really what my issue is as it relates to RSVP and respond, if you please. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40 says this: but everything is to be done decently and in order. And I said, yes, Lord, that's it. Like, for me, like I said, I'm speaking for me. For me, that's what it comes down to. And so I was grateful. I want to read it to you in a couple different translations. The Amplified says, but all things must be done appropriately and in an orderly manner. And then the Message says, be courteous and considerate in everything. So the gist of this in RSVP and, some of the things I've talked about already is it comes down to just doing things in order and decency, right? Someone is asking for a response so that they can do things in order, right? When I plan things, when I have events, I want it to be in order, right? And the way that I do that is by knowing who's going to be there so I can properly prepare, right? And so I was like, God, okay, that's it. And really, if you search this, and even where this is found, it's talking about like Christian order, Christian conduct, things like that. So it's talking about how we conduct ourselves. So the fact that this is saying and referencing, but all things must be done appropriately in an orderly manner, I feel safe to say that in and out of context, I can use this scripture as it relates to what's the big deal about RSVP. Why do I need to respond? Why does it matter? It's no big deal. But for some of us, y'all, it's a big deal. And so I'm here to share my heart that says it's a big deal for me that people RSVP and let me know that they're coming. Think about it this way. It's like a reservation, right? A reservation just means it's the action of reserving something, or it's an arrangement whereby something, especially a seat or a room, is booked or reserved for a particular person. So again, I look at RSVP like a reservation. You're reserving your place. and you're letting the person know, I'm saying I want to reserve my spot to be able to attend this so that, again, you know I'm coming and I want to reserve my spot. So that's the other thing I thought about as it relates to respond, if you please, RSVP. So for me, it really just comes down to me personally doing things in order. It's the courtesy to let people know what your intentions are. It's just common courtesy. To me, it's just the right thing to do, right? And if you don't respond, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself because, y'all, I'm really passionate about this particular thing in this season. But, the thing is that, so if you don't respond, right, then that lets the organizer know you don't have any intentions on coming. So I'm not making plans for you because you haven't responded or you didn't respond and say that you were coming. And so it also just allows things to run smoother. Think about if you're going to a restaurant and the organizer needs to know how many people are coming so there's enough seats, right? If you're going to a restaurant and what if the restaurant only holds 50 people and you ask for RSVPs and people don't respond, if you please, and then 60 people show up and it's only 50 seats. So again, it allows things to run a little bit smoother. So I want to ask this question. And feel free to, share, comment, let me know if some of the reasons are not on here. Or maybe you have other reasons why you do or you don't RSVP. I'm always open to hear opinions. But reasons why people don't RSVP. Fear of committing. Some people just have a fear of committing in a sense of, well, I don't want to commit and say I'm coming and then I don't come. So they don't RSVP because it's just that fear, that anxiety of I just can't commit because I don't know, right? Okay. And none of these are, I'm just listing reasons, possible reasons why people don't RSVP. Indecisive. Some people are just indecisive and they can't decide or, they don't know or they just can't make a decision. So because they can't make a decision, they're indecisive. They don't respond, if you please. They don't RSVP to whatever is being asked or to the invitation or to the announcement. Failure to pay attention. Sometimes we just read stuff so fast and all you know is you got an invitation, but you didn't read it to see that it asked for RSVP. And sometimes, y'all, I'm guilty of it. The RSVP is at the bottom, right? Maybe, and I'm going to help myself. Maybe we start with that and start with respond, RSVP, and then give the information. But a reason why people don't RSVP, failure to pay attention. Forget. You heard the RSVP, it said, but you forget. And that's valid, right? We're human. You forget to go ahead and respond, if you please. Inconsideration. Some people just have no consideration for the organizer. Hello. Or the importance. It's just inconsiderate. I don't see the value in this thing that you're doing. Therefore, I'm being inconsiderate by not RSVPing and just showing up. Ignorance. I feel like maybe people don't know. And that's what caused me to even look up what RSVP stands for. Because maybe ignorance in not knowing what that means. Maybe somebody sees that on there and they're like, well, what does RSVP mean? And instead of asking, they don't know. So it could be due to just old-fashioned ignorance by way of not knowing what that means. Don't want people to know that they don't want to come or that they want to come, right? So I don't want to RSVP because for whatever reason, I don't want you to know that I actually want to come to your event. So I'm not going to respond, if you please. I'm not going to tell you that, yes, I'm coming because I don't want you to know. And I know that one sounds crazy, but I believe it. I've seen it where people literally just didn't want. I'm the one planning it. I'm the one organizing it. But for whatever reason, they just didn't want to tell me they're coming to my event. Maybe because they think it's my event. And I just don't know what that is. But I do believe that reasons why people don't is because they don't want me to know or you to know they're coming. And then I feel like people don't RSVP because they might be asked to do something or to help. So the announcer might say, okay, RSVP, let me know if you're coming. And then when you tell me, then I say, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? So maybe people don't do it because they don't want to be asked to do something or to help. Those were just some of the things that I came up with as to possible reasons why people don't respond, if you please. And so now I want to shift gears. I want to look at this from categories, and I want you to do self-reflection. You be honest and see what category, but there's different categories to this. So the first category is the people who respond, and they let the organizer know I'm coming, right? And I love those. Thank you. So I'm going to say that. Thank you to the people who fall in this category. You respond and you let the organizer know. Then you have the people who receive the invite, they hear the announcement, they know you plan to come, but you never RSVP, and then you just show up like you did. So you hear it, you receive it, you tell yourself, I'm going to that, but you never respond to the organizer and let the organizer know you're going, and then you show up. That's a whole category of people. Why do y'all do that? If you're in this category, please help me. Then there's a category of people that do nothing at all. And that's okay sometimes to do nothing at all, especially if you don't plan to come. If you're not planning to come and it says respond if you please, you do nothing at all, that's great. I understand. So that's a category of people. Then there's a category of people who accept, they respond, but then they don't show. And again, I said earlier, it's about reducing waste and not just having excess, because whatever you're doing, it usually costs. So whether that's cost for supplies or it costs if you're having a party and you're trying to make sure there's enough food, it usually costs. So again, with people who accept the invite but then don't show, I know things happen, but again, there's a certain category of people that's their MO. They accept, but they have no intention on coming, and they just don't show up. I forgot. And here's the thing, y'all. When you RSVP or you respond if you please, usually there's an invitation, but then again, some announcement. And so you have to do the necessary steps to put it on your planner, put it on your calendar. I mean, you remember to go to work every day. I know, because you're getting paid. There's something invested in that. And, I hear this term is coming, people remember what they want to remember. People do what they want to do, right? And so you've got to make the effort, especially if you've already responded and said you wanted to go and then you don't show. And then you have the whole category of people who just crash parties that they were never invited to. And the problem with that, again, is waste. And then again, you weren't invited, first of all, but it depends, right? If there's just a general announcement, then again, the assumption is whoever hears that announcement and falls into a category, because the announcement might say women only, men only, whatever. So once you hear it, but then there's people who just crash the party they were never invited to. I can't say that's ever really happened to me. I can't think of any times where I had like a specific invitation only type thing and somebody just showed up that was never invited, but it happens. There's a whole category of people. So categories of RSVP, right? What I like is the one who responds, lets me know, and then actually shows up. Now I want to pose this question to us. Do you expect to receive RSVPs? And maybe you don't call it RSVP, but put yourself in the other person's shoes. When you are sending out invites, when you are planning things, do you expect to receive RSVP? And if that answer is yes, then you should extend that same courtesy when you're being invited. Here's the thing too, y'all. If you don't RSVP, then can you be mad if they don't let you in or if they don't have enough? Because here's what happens too, right? And which I'm still talking about the whole order and decency, being prepared, reducing waste. So if you don't RSVP, then people have the nerve to get mad when they show up to something that they didn't let the person know. And then if there's not enough, or if they say, I'm sorry, but we can't let you in, or you get here and now you're sitting here and you don't have what you need because you didn't RSVP. So I want to caution those who don't RSVP. Can you really be mad if you don't RSVP? And so, y'all, today was just about, again, sharing my heart from this topic of RSVP, respond if you please. And so I would just encourage you all that if you see or if you receive an announcement, if you receive an invitation, I go back to scripture, do all things in order and decency, right? It just comes down to decency, doing things with the spirit of excellence, and again, communicating. And it's the right thing to do at the end of the day, y'all. So be sure to RSVP, respond if you please. Do you enjoy listening to Encourage podcasts? if you could do me a favor, share your favorite episode with 2 or 3 people. Make sure that you like, follow, subscribe, turn your notifications on. Help me reach as many people to hear this good gospel.